Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of Success Stories in Steuben County. In this podcast, you will hear from successful people who live in our community. We would like to thank Fifth for providing us with a grant for microphones, which will enhance the quality of this podcast, and biographs that helped us learn about successful people and the attributes needed to create success. My name is Roger.
And I am Austin. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come to Henry Park and be interviewed.
You bet.
How many jobs have you had in your career?
A lot. I would say, my first real job was I worked at Best Buy, selling computers. Then I started building computers on the side for people and selling those. I worked as a web developer for Purdue. I worked for an oil field company called Schlumberger. I was a consultant for a while. Worked for Department of Homeland Security. Had my own company. Did some real estate. Had another company. So a lot of different jobs.
That is a lot.
That is.
Yeah.
Which job was your favorite and why?
Oh man, for different reasons. I loved my first product company, Trustbearer Labs, was a lot of fun. It was a small team. We ended up becoming like 17 people, but we were very good at what we did. And we, even being in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we'd have people flying in from Korea and Germany and stuff like that coming in because we had a expertise that no one else had, and it was just fun. It's fun to be able to do things that people don't think you're capable of doing, and for them to give you a challenge, and that's what we did in that company. And we had a lot of really smart people that worked there. It was a lot of fun. But I will say I also really enjoyed my job at Best Buy. My job at Best Buy was a lot of fun too because I got to sell, and I think everybody should have to be able to sell at some point in their life because that's how you build communication skills with people.
Okay. Do you think your childhood has any effect on your success?
Yeah, I think so. Growing up, I had chores. My dad had an antique store that I used to help him go to auctions and get antiques and stuff. We raised cattle, and so I took some of my money from chores to buy a couple of calves, raised those calves, and sold those, and made some money doing that. I think, I would say, like my dad always had kind of some side hustles that he was doing. And so I kind of followed in the same footsteps, and ultimately that probably led me to realize that I could, work for myself.
What attributes have helped you become so successful?
I think being able to sell is really important. So I think, again, that Best Buy job was so important because I'm actually not, if you had talked to my friends in high school and beforehand, I was kind of an awkward kid. I didn't really like to talk to people. So having to be in a sales job where you have to convince people to buy things really helped me a lot. It helped me learn how to communicate with people and how to deal with situations that were challenging too. So I would say that being able to sell, being able to communicate well with people, I think being able to have empathy, meaning that you can kind of put yourself in other people's shoes, and kind of have their perspective on things, I think is important. So, but number one thing I think is the ability to be able to sell things. I think that's really important, communicate and be able to sell things.
So how many years have you worked in your lifetime?
I've been working since I was 15 for real jobs. I would detassel corn and stuff in the summertime when I'd go visit my grandfather. But so 32 years.
That's a lot.
That's a long time, right?
How many employees have you had over the years of your career?
Quite a few. So, the first couple of companies were just consulting companies, and I think we only had maybe 1 or 2 employees then. TrustBearer, we had about 17. I have my last company, Census, which is still up in Ann Arbor. There's over 200 employees there, and so quite a few. I didn't hire all those, but I bet I hired probably 70 or 80 of those. So quite a few.
Wow.
Okay.
So can you tell us how it feels to be a CEO of a business?
It's very stressful. I can tell you that. It's a hard job. It's a very tough job. You are looked at to be everything. So you have the company vision. You have to take the company through tough times. So both of my companies, my product companies I had, went through tough times. So the first one I started in 2007 before the Great Recession and sold it in 2010, right afterwards. Census I started right before the pandemic in 2017. And then we all worked from home and did the whole pandemic thing. So you have to be able to navigate through tough times. You've got to navigate when there's cash crunches. You've got to be able to do a lot of things. But it's also very rewarding because it's a great feeling when everybody starts marching in the same direction. Meaning you can kind of, it's almost like sales. When you sell something to somebody, you're convincing people to do things that you think are right. You're selling people a vision as CEO of a company. You're selling them a path forward. And so that can be a lot of fun. But it also, like I said, there's a lot of challenges with being CEO as well. If you have your own company, people assume CEOs make a lot of money. If you start your own company, you make 0 money in the beginning. So you're sacrificing your own salary, and all that money ends up going back into the business to your employees, to your product, et cetera, until you reach the point that you're profitable as a company. So that can be challenging too for a number of people. But all in all, it can be very rewarding for the right type of person.
What are your life goals, and have you reached them yet?
Wow. Boy, I would say they've changed a lot. Early on, success was probably around starting businesses. It was probably around, how much revenue did we generate? How many products did we sell? Who are our customers? All that sort of stuff. And as I've gotten older and as I've had a family, it's more about, can I have a successful family? It's more about relationships with people. It's more about spending time with others, giving back, transferring all this knowledge that I've been able to get in the last 30 some odd years to other people. Like, those are my goals now in life, which are very different than what they were probably in my 20s and 30s. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for coming to Henry Park and telling us about your success. We have learned a lot from you, and I know I will try to work on being hardworking like you so that I too can be successful.
We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate you sharing your success with our audience. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you. Shake hands. Shake hands. All right. Thank you so much. It's been great.